The ChrisofGames here, and it is the 250th anniversary of the USA, and what better way to celebrate that by breaking apart the US into each separate state and see what happens, because we are playing Pax Historia again, and we are playing with the preset 50 nifty states. So in this preset, all the states are now independent, and what we're going to be doing is playing as one of these independent states and see where we go from there. So let's go ahead and play. All right, so here are the 50 states that are independent, including Alaska, Hawaii, and the territories as well. The U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico is independent. But what state am I going to be playing as? Well, I'm going to be playing as none other than Old Dominion herself, Virginia. So let us get started. Alright, so these are the settings of the game, so let us start. Alright, so these are the first actions I'm going to be doing. I'm going to allow the government of Virginia to buy and sell with Bitcoin, and then I'm going to replace the gas tax and the grocery tax with, unfortunately, a higher state tax. So a little offset on that. And then let's go ahead and do some diplomatic chats, shall we? Alright, so I copied and pasted. Hello, we would like to start trade talks between our two nations. Let's see what North Carolina says. We appreciate the outreach from Richmond during these chaotic times. Establishing a stable trade corridor between the Piedmont and your Tidewater regions is a priority for us to secure our supply chains. Raleigh is open to formalizing an agreement that prioritizes agriculture exchange and shared infrastructure security. Okay, so North Carolina is open. So I will reach out to other states and other international bodies, and when Pax Historia does the recap, we're gonna see which states and international bodies we talk to. So I will go ahead and talk to them off screen. So we need to reinforce our shipping ports in Norfolk and Virginia Beach, well, reinforce our shipping port in Norfolk and start building new shipping hubs in Virginia Beach and the peninsula and the Virginia Peninsula, because we have a port here, we have a port here. It would be nice to have a port here. So we'll do that, and then we're going to start building a naval base on the peninsula as well, because we have to secure this area just in case Maryland decides to attack us. Start the construction of a naval base on the Virginia Peninsula. Okay, so I think that's all we'll do for now. We will see what these actions have done, and then after that we will get some trade negotiations locked down. So we're going to jump forward a week and we'll see what happens. All right. Virginia adopts Bitcoin standard. In a bold move to bypass the failing federal dollar, Virginia has officially legalized the use of Bitcoin for state government transaction. Richmond has begun establishing digital wallets to facilitate the buying and selling of goods and services. This pivot aims to provide a hedge against the hyperinflation gripping the former US, positioning Virginia as a decentralized finance hub. Next up, Richmond overhauls state tax code. That's wrong. It's me. Governor Chris has signed an executive order in Richmond to radically restructure the state's revenue stream. The gas tax and the grocery tax have been completely abolished to provide immediate relief to citizens struggling with the recession. To compensate for the lost revenue, a unified higher state income tax has been implemented, aimed at funding the ambitious infrastructure projects currently underway. All right, looks like the United Nations has officially begun its relocation to Switzerland because there are riots happening. All right. Construction begins on Peninsula Naval Base. Following directives from the state government, Virginia has broken ground on a massive new naval facility on the Virginia Peninsula. The base is intended to secure the Chesapeake Bay and provide a sovereign alternative to the federally occupied Norfolk Naval Base. Engineering corps are working around the clock to establish deep water piers and dry docks. The thing is, it's popped up in West Virginia. So I don't know what that means, but let's assume that it's here. And I didn't know Norfolk Naval Base was still in the hands of the federal government, or what's left of the federal government, so we need to change that. All right. Norfolk and Virginia Beach port expansion. Virginia has initiated a massive reinforcement of the port of Norfolk. Simultaneously, dredging and construction have begun for new shipping hubs in Virginia Beach and along the Virginia Peninsula. These expansions are designed to accommodate the influx of trade expected from the UK and Canada, bypass the instability of the North, and solidify Virginia's role as the premier Atlantic trade gate. Yes. Alright, following successful diplomatic chats, Virginia and North Carolina have signed the Atlantic-Piedmont Accord. The agreement established a duty-free zone for agriculture and industrial goods between the two states. State police from both polities have begun joint patrols along the I-95 corridor to protect logistics from bandits. Alright, so after a week, there are things that we need to do. First, we need to take control of the Norfolk Naval Base from the remnants of the shattered US government. And then the next thing we need to do is make sure that the new governor of Virginia is a Governor Chris. Obviously, it has to be me because I'm taking over and making Virginia great again. And then the next thing I want to do is start construction on renewable energy products in Virginia, so we don't need to rely on fossil fuels by building 2 new nuclear facilities. I know they could be dangerous, but the electric power is worth it. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and reinforce the Virginia Guard, which is the Virginia National Guard, which has become the new military for Virginia, both Navy, Army, and Air Force. So I think that's all we can do. Let's go ahead and move another week and see what happens. All right, here we go. Governor Chris inaugurated in Richmond. In a formal ceremony in Richmond, Governor Chris has been officially sworn in as the new leader of Virginia. Today, we don't just inaugurate a leader, we inaugurate a new era for our Commonwealth, standing tall where others have fallen. Governor Chris. Perfect. Alright, Virginia seizes Norfolk Naval Base in a high-stakes maneuver. Virginia state forces have successfully, peacefully occupied and taken control of the Norfolk Naval Base from the United States military remnant. Following intense negotiations between Richmond and the base commander, the transition occurred without bloodshed. This acquisition grants Virginia control over the most significant naval infrastructure on the Atlantic coast, including several carrier docks and vast stockpiles of equipment. The move has been condemned by the Pentagon in Arlington as an illegal seizure. Oh, do I not own the Pentagon? I don't own the Pentagon. Well, it looks like we're gonna storm the Pentagon after this week. And then Virginia launches nuclear and renewable initiatives. Virginia has broken ground on 2 state-of-the-art nuclear power facilities and several large-scale renewable energy projects. This initiative aims to decouple the state's power grid from the failing regional infrastructure. Governor Chris announced that the goal is total energy autonomy within the next 3 years, utilizing Virginia's existing technical expertise in nuclear engineering to provide cheap and reliable electricity from its growing industrial and digital sectors. Okay. And then Virginia Guard recruitment surge. Following a massive statewide media blitz, the Virginia Guard has seen a record-breaking influx of new recruits. The recruit ads focusing on patriotism and the defense of the home state have resonated with thousands of young Virginians displaced by the economic crisis. The surge significantly bolsters Virginia's military capacity, allowing for the formation of several new battalions to secure the state's borders and the newly acquired naval assets in Norfolk. Okay, we're building up the Virginia Guard. The Virginian Guard? Or the Virginia Guard? Either way, I'm going to interchange them. Alright, Mid-Atlantic Trade Corridor activated. The logistic networks between Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, and North Carolina have officially activated. Ships laden with Canadian timber and British medical supplies have begun arriving at the Hampton Roads ports, while Virginia exports agriculture goods and coal received from the Appalachian interior. This corridor represents the most stable economic zone in the former U.S., effectively bypassing the chaos in the Northeast and the federal remnants in D.C. Alright, so what are we going to do next with Virginia? We have the 1st Virginia Infantry and the 2nd Virginia Infantry ready to go. Alright, so the next thing we are going to do is we're going to send the Virginia Guard to take the Pentagon. And then we are going to start making some business deals with the arms business, basically the military business complex up in Northern Virginia. And we'll make deals so that we can get some weapons for a war that I am planning. And then we'll allocate funds to build new train lines in Virginia. And we'll also use those funds to update the current train lines in Virginia. Now that we are a independent state, we need to make sure we can move around things quickly and efficiently. So let us go ahead and talk to the nation we want to go to war with, because it's high time that they join us. So we'll give them a friendly warning. To West Virginia. Who else? Hello. It is time, or how am I going to put this? Now that USA has dissolved, it is time for West Virginia to join Virginia proper. If you agree, we will be a force to be reckoned with. Spelled that wrong. If you disagree, you will start the drums of war. What will it be? Alright, so let's give this friendly ultimatum to West Virginia. Charleston will not be intimidated by threats of annexation from Richmond, especially when we remember exactly why we separated from your Commonwealth in the first place. While you have been busy securing ports and digital currencies, our people have been fortifying the Appalachian Heights and preparing to defend our sovereign mountains. If you choose to beat the drums of war over a historical grudge, you will find that invading West Virginia is a far costlier endeavor than peaceful cooperation. Okay, well, this is my response. Well, you have made your decision. Dun. What's the drum noise? Bump, 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 bump. Drums of war are. That'll suffice. If the drums are truly sounding in Richmond, then let them echo through our valleys, where they will be met by the cold steel of mountaineers who know every ridge of this terrain better than any invader. Charleston takes no pleasure in the prospect of brothers shedding blood over centuries-old borders, but we will not sacrifice our independence for the sake of your expansionist vanity. You'll find that our peaks are far less welcoming than the docks of Norfolk, and this aggression will only serve to unite us against the tyranny of the Tidewater. Wow. This is a crazy exchange. Alright, so now that we have declared war with West Virginia, we are going to start moving the Virginia Guard toward the West Virginian border. And then I will make a speech to the General Assembly and the public where I try to get support for a unified Virginia and to justify the war with West Virginia. I think that's all the actions I'm willing to do. Let us jump forward another week because it looks like war has started. And there we go. Virginia Guard storms the Pentagon. In a lightning operation aimed at decapitating federal remnant authority, the Virginia Guard launched a multi-pronged assault on the Pentagon in Arlington. Utilizing high-speed motorized units and local knowledge of the complex, Virginian forces overwhelmed the small, demoralized contingent of the U.S. military guarding the facility. The seizure secures the most advanced military command center in the world, though the U.S. military remnant has reported retreated to underground bunkers and overseas bases, vowing to never recognize Richmond's authority. Well, there goes the Pentagon. Alright, arms manufacturing deals signed in Northern Virginia. Governor Chris finalized a series of lucrative arms manufacturing deals with several major aerospace and defense firms located in Northern Virginia and Hampton Roads. These contracts, paid primarily in Bitcoin and the newly stable Virginian credit, will transition local industry toward the most production of small arms, drones, and armored vehicles. This move aims to ensure Virginia's military remnant remains self-sufficient and technologically superior to its neighbors. And then Virginia modernizes state rail infrastructure to facilitate the rapid movement of coal from the Appalachians and consumer goods from the coast. Virginia has allocated billions to a massive railway revitalization project. Engineering crews have begun maintenance on the I-95 and I-81 rail corridors, while new high-capacity lines are being planned to connect Richmond directly to the deep-water ports in the Virginia Peninsula. This infrastructure surge is expected to bolster trade efficiency with partners like Canada and the United Kingdom. Okay, and here we go, the drums of war. Virginia mobilizes toward the Appalachian front. Following the breakdown of diplomatic talks in Charleston, the 1st Virginia Infantry has begun a rapid deployment toward the West Virginian border. Convoys of trucks and armored personnel carriers were seen moving west through the Shenandoah Valley. Governor Chris's speech to the General Assembly has ignited a fervor in the public, framing that the coming conflict as a historical necessity to reunite the shattered Commonwealth. It is time that West Virginia joins Virginia once again. The division of our people was a product of a dead era. Today we move to make the Commonwealth whole. Oh boy. And then West Virginia digs in for defense. In response to the movement of Virginian troops, the government in Charleston has declared a state of emergency. Mountaineer militias have begun fortifying the passes. Oh boy, here we go. And Chesapeake Bay Security Titan, 2nd Virginia Infantry, and newly commissioned Coastal Patrol units have completed a sweep of the Virginia Chesapeake Bay to secure maritime supply lines. This comes as the trade deals with Florida, Georgia, and Mexico begin to yield their first shipments. The Norfolk Naval Base now serves as the primary nerve center of these operations, ensuring the Atlantic-Piedmont Accord remains the most stable economic zone on the continent despite the war in the West. Alright, now with our forces next to the West Virginian border, we're going to go ahead and start the war. We're going to head into West Virginia territory with the end goal of capturing the capital of West Virginia, Charleston. And then as the Virginia Guard is moving in, we are going to send planes from our Air Force, and they are going to support the ground troops. And then, using the high-tech military equipment that we seized from the Pentagon and the Norfolk Naval Base, we are going to start a internet and a communications jamming campaign on the West Virginian front so we can disrupt all their communications. Operation Mountain Shield cyber warfare and jamming initiated using high-tech encryption and signal intercept hardware recently seized from the Pentagon. Virginia has launched a massive electronic warfare campaign against West Virginia. Military communications in Charleston and major hubs are being systemically jammed. This disruption has left the mountaineer militia units unable to coordinate effective defensive maneuvers along the rugged Allegheny front. Air superiority established over the Ohio Valley, the Virginia Air Force has officially begun combat over West Virginia, striking from bases in the Shenandoah Valley. Virginian pilots have targeted communication towers and the transit bridges, while the rugged terrain offers protection to small infantry units. The lack of an organized air defense has left West Virginia's supply lines exposed to Richmond's aerial dominance. And then here we go, the Battle of the Gaps. 1st Virginia Infantry advances. The 1st Virginia Infantry has broken through several defensive bottlenecks in the Potomac Highlands. Despite heavy resistance from local militias using the Mountaineer defense line, the combination of air support and the total failure of West Virginian radio communications forced a retreat. Virginian forces are now pushing aggressively toward the Metro Valley. Perfect. And then... this is interesting. New Jersey files a lawsuit against New York. New Jersey has officially sued New York in the International Court of Justice in Geneva. New Jersey is claiming full jurisdiction over Ellis Island and Liberty Island. Oh my goodness. In response, New York has deployed state militia units to the island, sparking a tense naval stand. New Jersey is claiming its right. They want the Statue of Liberty. Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, here we go. Oh my goodness. Siege of Charleston begins. Virginian motorized units have reached the outskirts of Charleston following the fall of the Metro Valley. The West Virginia government has retreated to fortified bunkers. Governor Chris has issued a final ultimatum for unconditional surrender, citing the need for a unified Commonwealth. The mountains have long protected you, but the future belongs to those who adapt. Come home to Virginia peacefully, or the costs will only rise. What a great thing to say. Oh, and here we go. Fall of Charleston, West Virginia, reincorporated. Following a final decisive push, supported by constant jamming and aerial bombardment, the 1st Virginia Infantry has entered the West Virginian capital. The government in Charleston signed the Richmond Reunification Act, formally dissolving the state and merging its regions into the Commonwealth. Virginia now stands as a unified powerhouse with control over both the Atlantic ports and the Appalachian resource hubs. Look at that. Virginia is whole again. And how long did that war last? It was like a week, right? January 23rd. About 6 days. That's how weak West Virginia was. Alright, so there we go. Virginia is whole again. Okay, let us go ahead 1 month into the future and we'll see what happens. Alright, the Charleston-Richmond Express groundbreaking. Following the Richmond Reunification Act, Governor Chris has ordered the immediate commencement of the Appalachian Unity Rail. This massive infrastructure project aims to connect the coal-rich hubs of Charleston directly to the deep water ports of Richmond and the Virginia Peninsula. Engineering corps have begun laying high-speed freight tracks to ensure that West Virginian resources are seamlessly integrated into the Atlantic-Piedmont Accord trade network. Perfect. Commonwealth Cultural Integration Initiative. To solidify the annexation of the West, Virginia has launched the Commonwealth Integration Program. State funds are being funneled into the Metro Valley and Potomac Highlands to replace old West Virginian symbols with the Virginian seal. Yes, love that. Education curricula in Charleston and Morgantown are being overhauled to emphasize the shared history of the 1861 split, now framed as a temporary separation, finally rectified by the sovereign state in Richmond. Perfect. Uh-oh. Tensions between Michigan and Ohio have reached a breaking point following a skirmish in the Toledo Strip that left 2 Ohio state troopers dead. There's gonna be a war between Michigan and Ohio. Oh boy. What is this? Florida proclaims Gulf Empire Initiative. Citing the need for regional security and maritime integrity, Florida has laid claim to the Mobile Panhandle, the Mississippi coast, and Louisiana's Florida parishes. Governor DeSantis announced the Gulf Empire Doctrine, suggesting that any state impeding Floridian control over the Gulf coastline is a threat to the peninsula's survival. Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana have begun urgent talks to form a defensive coalition against Florida. Oh my goodness. Florida was like, this is all mine. Of course. And calling themselves an empire, that's crazy. So we'll see what happens here. So it looks like war is breaking out, or conflicts are rising. Oh, and water wars, the Hoover Dam dispute. Drought in the Southwest has ignited a fierce conflict between California, Nevada, and Arizona. California has accused Nevada of hoarding water at the Hoover Dam to prioritize Las Vegas's power grid. Arizona has sided with California, demanding on immediate redistribution of Colorado River flows. Nevada has responded by mobilizing its militia to the dam's perimeter, warning that any attempt to seize the facility will result in the total cutoff of downstream water. Well, there is war on the West Coast as well. And then Virginia trade hubs reach peak capacity. The Bitcoin integrated trade hubs in Norfolk and Virginia Beach are now operating at 100% capacity. Following the finalization of trade deals with Germany, Brazil, and China, the first massive cargo ships have arrived at the Hampton Roads. The influx of industrial machinery from Berlin and electronics from Beijing have provided a significant boost to the Virginian economy, contrasting sharply with the starvation seen in the rest of the mid-Atlantic. Oh boy. And then West Virginia resistance fades. The 1st Virginia Infantry has completed its pacification mission in the Allegheny Mountains. While small pockets of mountaineer resistance remain in the deep woods, the majority of the population has accepted the Richmond Reunification Act as the only way to receive food, aid, and protection from the global recession. The Appalachian Unity Rail project is ahead of schedule, with tracks now reaching the outskirts of Covington. Okay. Whoa. Maryland, what are you doing? Maryland claims Delmarva. In a proactive move, the government in Annapolis has declared that the entirety of Delmarva Peninsula is historically and geographically part of Maryland. This declaration includes the southern Delmarva Peninsula, currently held by Virginia. While Maryland has focused its immediate military buildup on the border of Delaware, the rhetoric from Governor Moore has caused alarm in Richmond. Ooh, Maryland, secretly, in my mind, you are the next target. But now with this provocation, you are definitely the next target. All right, so with Maryland
being a little aggressive, I'm going to go ahead and talk to them and see if they can explain themselves.
I guess the trade talks didn't work out. Hello. With your recent decree of owning Delmarva, Virginia disagrees with that statement. If you continue, you continue your rhetoric, Virginia will have to act. Will you stop? Or will you retract your claim on the Delmarva Peninsula? Okay, Annapolis will not be intimidated into retracting a claim that is rooted in the geographical and historical reality of Chesapeake. While Richmond has been annexing the mountains, Maryland has focused on securing the integrity of the Delmarva, and we view the southern peninsula as an essential component of our regional security. If Virginia intends to match its rhetoric with action, you should consider that our forces are already mobilized and we are fully prepared to defend our sovereign interests against any tidewater aggression. We have no intention of backing down from a claim that rightfully unifies the peninsula under a single administration. You have been warned. Now you will pay. If this is the path Richmond chooses, then Maryland will meet you in the field to protect the unity of the peninsula. Your threats do not change the fact that the southern Delmarva belongs under the administration of Maryland, and we will not yield an inch of our sovereign soil. We are ending these talks now and preparing our defenses.
Alright, so Maryland explained themselves, and now the drums of war are starting again, because now we're going to take over Maryland. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the Virginia Guard and the Virginia Air Force to Silver Springs, and then I am going to go to the General Assembly, gain support for a war against Maryland, and then I will hold a rally as well to generate public support for our war. So, as we did with West Virginia, the drums of war are beating again.
Richmond responds to Annapolis aggression. Following the breakdown of diplomatic talks regarding the Delmarva Peninsula, Governor Chris delivered a fiery speech to the Virginia General Assembly, condemning Maryland's territorial claims as an affront to Virginian sovereignty. The governor declared that the era of patience has ended. Public rallies across Richmond and Virginia Beach have seen thousands of citizens calling for the defense of the Eastern Shore against Marylander imperialism. Maryland has chosen aggression with their words and actions. Now Virginia will answer back with action. Yes. What happened? The Texas coup fall of Austin. In a swift and bloody operation, high-ranking military officers have seized the Texas state capital in Austin. What? The Democratic government has fled and a militaristic dictatorship has been proclaimed. The new regime, hostile to its neighbor, has immediately signaled its intent to restore Greater Texas through territorial expansion. Oh my goodness, Texas has turned fascist. Who knew? I should not be surprised. Okay. Virginia Air Force strikes Silver Springs. The VAF airstrike group has initiated a relentless aerial bombardment targeting military infrastructure in the Silver Springs area. Precision strikes have focused on communication arrays and assembly points for the Maryland 1st Division. The skies over central Maryland are now contested as Virginia seeks to disrupt Annapolis' ability to coordinate a response to the coming ground invasion. Oh, here we go. The Battle of the Potomac, 1st Virginia Infantry advances. Crossing the Potomac River under the cover of heavy electronic jamming, the 1st Virginia Infantry has begun a massive assault on Silver Spring. Virginian forces, veterans of the Appalachian Campaign, are utilizing urban warfare tactics to push back Maryland militias. The proximity to the District of Columbia has put federal remnants on high alert as artillery fire echoes through the suburbs. So it looks like I have to take over Washington, D.C. too. Alright, Great Lakes maritime skirmishes. Tensions between the Great Lakes states have boiled over into physical confrontation. In the contested waters of Lake Erie, an Ohio Coast Guard vessel rammed a Michigan fishing trawler, claiming a violation of territorial limits. Canada has expressed concern over the safety of the St. Lawrence Seaway, threatening to intervene if the states cannot find a peaceful resolution to the water rights dispute. Oh boy. Oh. Fall of the Delmarva, Maryland retreats. Yes. Faced with the dual threat of Virginian air superiority and the rapid advance of the 1st Virginia Infantry, Maryland forces have begun a tactical withdrawal from the northern Delmarva Peninsula. So they were getting ready to attack Delaware, but then my troops came in super fast. Like a blitzkrieg, and they've retreated. Virginia has successfully secured the land bridge, effectively cutting off Baltimore's land access to the peninsula. Richmond has declared the southern Delmarva Peninsula a high security zone, reinforcing its hold on the strategic coastal territory. Look at that. Finally. We have the Delmarva Peninsula. Well, not yet. We got to take down Delaware, but we'll do that later. But we've essentially choked off Maryland, which is great. So let me see. So that was March 7th. And the Maryland talk happened February 28th. So 9 days. That was about 9 days. Let's go ahead and do this. Hello. With your nation cut in half, unconditionally surrender or face a siege in Baltimore. There we go. Let's see what Maryland says. Annapolis will not surrender to a regime that has shown nothing but naked aggression since the fall of the federal government. While you may have seized central Maryland through electronic sabotage and brute force, the heart of our state remains beating in Baltimore, and we are prepared to make every street a fortress. If you truly wish to burn the mid-Atlantic to the ground for the sake of your peninsula claims, then bring your siege, but know that Maryland will never voluntarily sign away its sovereignty to Richmond. You have signed your death sentence. Say goodbye to Maryland. If Baltimore is to be the final stand for Maryland's independence, then we will face your fire with the resolve of a people who refuse to be annexed by Richmond's greed. Your 1st Virginia Infantry may hold the land bridge, but the Maryland 1st Division still stands ready to defend our home against this illegal occupation. We are done talking. Our answer will be found in the resistance you meet at every checkpoint.
Alright, so Maryland did not accept my terms of unconditional surrender. And with that, we're going to go ahead and start the siege of Baltimore. And then, since I'm a little tired of war and don't want to go into another war after finishing another war, I am going to ask the citizens, the people of the District of Columbia, to join Virginia peacefully and join the Virginia dream, or stay and be independent and live a American nightmare. So hopefully they choose correctly, because I am willing to beat the drums of war again if we have to.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead one more week and see what happens. The siege of Baltimore commences. Following the total breakdown of diplomatic talks, the 1st Virginia Infantry has surrounded Baltimore, establishing a tight perimeter around the city's land approaches. Governor Chris has authorized a total blockade, cutting off water, electricity, and food supplies from the northern rail corridors. The Virginia Air Force has shifted its focus to the port of Baltimore, effectively trapping the Maryland 1st Division within the city limits. The time for warnings has passed. If Annapolis will not listen to reason, they will listen to the sound of our advance. Baltimore will be the final chapter of Maryland's resistance. And then information warfare in the district. Virginia has launched a massive propaganda and advertising campaign across the District of Columbia. High-frequency radio broadcasts and digital billboards are touting the economic stability of Richmond compared to the silence of the U.S. remnants. The ads emphasizing that D.C. residents would benefit from the Bitcoin standard and the protection of the Virginia Guard, attempting to sway a population wary of being a federal island in a sea of sovereign states. And then the Battle of Inner Harbor. Fierce urban combat has erupted in the Inner Harbor as Virginia reconnaissance units probed the Maryland 1st Division's defenses. Maryland forces have turned high-rise buildings into sniper nests and utilized local tugboats as improvised fire barges. Despite the spirited defense, Virginia's electronic jamming continues to disrupt Maryland's command and control, leading to disorganized retreats from the southern docks. Oh, what is this? Texas initiates Oklahoma ultimatum. The Republic of Texas has officially issued an ultimatum to Oklahoma, demanding that the state join the new militaristic regime in Austin. This move, part of the Greater Texas Initiative, has sent shockwaves to the Central Plains. Oh boy. Texas is expanding. Oh, here we go. Great Lakes tensions reach fever pitch. Following another maritime collision near Toledo, Ohio has begun shelling Michigan positions along the border. The Michigan Panzer Corps has initiated counter-battery fire, marking the first use of heavy artillery in the Toledo Strip dispute. Canada has warned that it will close the St. Lawrence Seaway if the conflict escalates into full-scale naval warfare in Lake Erie. Well, there's war between Michigan and Ohio. There's war between Texas and Oklahoma, and there's war between Virginia and Maryland. Things are going great. And there we go, Baltimore supply lines severed. In a decisive blow, Virginia forces have captured the last functional rail bridge connecting Baltimore to the north. The city is now completely isolated. Residents in the National Mall and surrounding District of Columbia regions have reportedly begun flying Virginia flags in a show of support or fear, as the Maryland government in Annapolis faces the reality of total collapse. So now, instead of 1 week, we're going to jump 1 month and see how things go. Alright, Operation Iron Gate. Virginia Navy blockades Baltimore. The Virginia Navy, utilizing new refitted vessels from the Norfolk Naval Base, has established a total maritime blockade of Baltimore. This naval movement complements the land siege, effectively severing the city's last link to the outside world. Richmond ships have also moved to secure the Potomac River, creating a ring of steel around both the District of Columbia and their remaining Maryland resistance points. Ooh, what's happening here? DC information warfare intensifies. Alright, DC information warfare intensifies. Governor Chris has authorized an aggressive propaganda blitz within the District of Columbia. Thousands of flyers were dropped by the VAF Tactical Wing, and hijacked digital frequencies now broadcast ads contrasting Richmond's Bitcoin-fueled prosperity with the fleeting nightmare of the US remnant's silence. Citizens are being urged to pressure local officials for a vote on Virginian integration. Nice. And the Toledo Strip skirmishes escalate. The border dispute between Michigan and Ohio has deteriorated into active trench warfare. There's trench warfare going on right now. Both states are diverting civilian automotive production entirely toward armored vehicle chassis, signaling a long-term conflict. Oh boy. And there it is. Texas Expansion Army invades Oklahoma. Oh my goodness. It is happening. Oh boy. And there it is. Fall of Baltimore, Maryland surrendered. Broken by the combination of starvation and the Virginia Navy's constant shelling, the Maryland 1st Division has laid down its arms in Baltimore. Governor Moore and the Annapolis leadership have signed the Chesapeake Unification Treaty, dissolving the state of Maryland and transferring all remaining territories to Virginia. The Commonwealth now fully encircles the District of Columbia. And this is from the defeated governor. The heart of Maryland has ceased to beat as a separate entity. Today we accept the reality of the Tidewater's strength. Thank you. Atlantic Piedmont Defense Pact signed in a landmark ceremony in Richmond. Representatives from Virginia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania have signed the Atlantic Security Initiative. This mutual defense pact creates a unified military command for the Mid-Atlantic aimed at deterring Texan expansionism and the Great Lakes conflicts. Joint patrols along the I-95 corridor have already begun. So we have the Atlantic Security Initiative, the ASI, between Pennsylvania and North Carolina. Good. Oh, and there it is. New Jersey wins Ellis Island case. In a shocking ruling from Geneva, the International Court of Justice sided with New Jersey regarding jurisdiction over Ellis Island and Liberty Island. New York has reluctantly begun withdrawing its militia, though tensions in the harbor remain extremely high. Wow. So I guess the Statue of Liberty goes back to New Jersey. Or does not go back. New York loses the Statue of Liberty. That's the headline. And there it is. DC petitions for integration, bowing to immense public pressure and the total blockade of all land and water access by Virginia. The local government of the District of Columbia has formally petitioned Richmond for integration. The move follows a week-long Call Your Official campaign. The U.S. remnants in the White House and Capitol remain silent, now physically isolated in their respective buildings within a Virginian city. Nice. We were able to integrate Washington, D.C. peacefully. We just got to surround Capitol Hill and the White House so that they can join Virginia. And there we go. Your country is now called the Greater Commonwealth of Virginia. Nice. All right, look at that. We have D.C., we have Maryland. Lovely. Let us talk to Delaware. Okay, hello. We would like to ask if you would like to join Virginia. To ensure your safe. How am I going to frame this? We would like to ask if you would like to join. Yeah, we're going to politely ask. Would you like to join Virginia? We can provide security and allow you a special autonomous status within the Commonwealth. Okay, let's see if Delaware accepts this. We have been watching the rapid fall of Maryland and the encirclement of DC with great concern from Dover. While we value our sovereignty, the reality of the global recession and the stability your Bitcoin standard offers is hard to ignore, given our small size. If the Greater Commonwealth is truly offering a status of genuine autonomy that preserves our local governments, we are open to discussing the terms of a peaceful integration. Yes! So you gotta love it. The strength of Virginia shows. So we're gonna move another month instead of a week and see what happens. And here we go. Operation Executive Reach, the siege of the remnants. In a final push to eliminate the last vestiges of federal authority, the Greater Commonwealth of Virginia has deployed mechanized units to surround the White House and Capitol Hill. With all exits blocked and supply lines severed, the Commonwealth has issued a non-negotiable ultimatum to the U.S. remnants: integrate or face total displacement. The presence of armored vehicles on Pennsylvania Avenue has forced a historic, like tense silence from the former federal branches. And there we go. Delaware signs the Dover Integration Accord. Following successful diplomatic chats, Delaware has officially agreed to join Virginia. The accord grants Delaware special autonomous status, allowing the state to maintain its local assembly while adopting the Virginia Bitcoin standard. This peaceful annexation secures the entire Delmarva Peninsula for Richmond and provides the Commonwealth with a critical corporate and financial hub in Dover. Alright, global trade, the Bitcoin gateway is open. The Greater Commonwealth of Virginia has finalized landmark trade agreements with Japan, South Korea, Colombia, Egypt, and South Africa. These nations have agreed to utilize Virginia's Atlantic trade gates at Norfolk and Virginia Beach by adopting the Commonwealth's digital settlement infrastructure. These global powers are effectively bypassing the frozen assets of the former U.S. financial system, providing Virginia with a massive influx of technology and raw materials. Perfect. Oh, interesting. The Mariana Federation. Citing the need for collective security against the rising eastern influence, Guam and the Northern Mariana Islands have officially merged to form the Mariana Federation. Interesting, a new country has been formed. This move has been met with quiet observation by China, which continues to monitor the strategic shift in the Philippine Sea. Interesting. Okay. So a new nation has formed, and there we go. The federal capitulation. The remnants dissolve. Starved of resources and legitimacy, the presidential and congressional remnants have finally signed the Act of Finality. The White House and Capitol Hill have been formally integrated into the Greater Commonwealth of Virginia. For the first time since the 1800s, the District of Columbia is no longer the seat of a federal government, but a historic district within a sovereign state. And then an anonymous remnant official said the experiment of the federal union has reached its terminal point. We surrendered the keys of the capital to those who can still maintain order. Oh, what is this? Canada has intensified diplomatic pressure on Minnesota regarding the Angle Inlet following the Washington model. Ottawa is requesting the transfer of the territory to simplify border management. St. Paul has flatly refused, leading to a cooling of relations and increased Canadian border patrols near the Lake of the Woods. Oh, Canada wants this. Oh my goodness, there's a conflict. There could be a conflict between Minnesota and Canada. That would be interesting. Oh, and there we go. Florida launches Gulf Empire campaign. Militia units from Florida have begun aggressive maneuvers near the Mobile Panhandle, proclaiming the Gulf Empire Initiative. Tallahassee has demanded that Alabama secede its coastline to ensure maritime safety. In response, Alabama and Mississippi have declared a joint state of emergency, moving their own guardsmen to the border in a desperate bid to halt the Floridian advance. Oh boy. Florida is on the move. And then Virginia consolidation, a new Atlantic hegemon. Hold on, let me move to Virginia. As the month draws to a close, the Virginia has successfully integrated the entire Chesapeake and Delaware regions. With the federal remnants gone and global trade flowing through Norfolk, Richmond has become the most powerful political and economic entity on the East Coast. Governor Chris has declared a week of celebration to mark the birth of the new Commonwealth. Nice. Alright, so this is the last thing I want to do. I want to take over Kentucky. Because I'm looking at it, and if I take over Kentucky, it will look like a bigger Virginia. You guys see it, right? I will relatively look like a bigger Virginia. So, let me start a new chat with Kentucky. And it will be the same message as I sent to Delaware. We would like to ask if you would like to join Virginia. You can be an autonomous state like Delaware. Will you accept? Frankfurt has been carefully observing your rapid expansion through the Appalachians and the recent fall of Maryland. While we appreciate the offer of security and recognize the stability of your Bitcoin standard has brought to the Mid-Atlantic, we are not as desperate as those in the Tidewater or the isolated remnants in BC. Our western coal fields and bluegrass regions are currently stable, and we have already seen the benefits of the trade corridor connecting us to the Atlantic-Piedmont Accord. If Virginia is proposing an integration that respects our local authority while linking our resource hubs more deeply to your digital economy, we are willing to review a formal proposal, but we must ensure Kentucky remains a partner rather than just another annexed territory. Okay. So, possibly, they're open to it. Okay, so Kentucky doesn't want to peacefully unite with me, so I'm gonna try this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start a campaign in Kentucky where I buy some ads that focus on Kentucky joining Virginia. So I'm gonna try to get the public of Kentucky to be on the side of joining Virginia. So that is gonna be the plan. Okay, let us move another month and we'll see what happens. Delaware Culture Integration Initiative begins following the Dover Integration Accord. Richmond has officially launched a massive cultural outreach program across the Delmarva Peninsula. Virginia officials are working with local Delaware authorities to synchronize digital banking systems with the Bitcoin standard. Public spaces in Wilmington and Dover are being adorned with the Virginia seal, framing the Union as the ultimate restoration of the Mid-Atlantic's economic and political core. Alright, Virginia launches Kentucky Soft Power campaign. Virginia has initiated the Bluegrass Outreach Program, a large-scale media and diplomatic blitz within Kentucky. Richmond-funded advertisements are flooding the airwaves in Louisville and Frankfurt, highlighting the shared Appalachian heritage and the prosperity brought by the Atlantic-Piedmont Accord. The campaign positions Virginia not as a conqueror, but as a stabilizing elder brother, capable of protecting Kentucky's coal interests from global market volatility. Oh, Samoan unification talks commemorated. Inspired by the success of the Mariana Federation, leaders from Samoa and Eastern Samoa have met in Apia to discuss the formal merging of their nations. The talk focused on creating a single Samoan state. Oh, that's cool. Oh gosh. Florida Gulf Army advances into Alabama. Oh my goodness. So does Florida just want this panhandle? They just want to extend their panhandle? Is that what's happening? Like they don't want to conquer all of Alabama. They just want to take over. They just want to stretch this panhandle. That would be funny to see. Okay, let's keep going. Ooh, Kentucky diplomats arrive in Richmond. In response to the Bluegrass Outreach Program, a high-level delegation from Frankfurt has arrived at the Virginia state capitol. While Kentucky remains hesitant toward total annexation, they have expressed a desire for a deep security partnership. Governor Chris hosted a state dinner, emphasizing that the greater Commonwealth of Virginia offers a shield that no isolated state can provide in the current age of recession. And here we go. Republic of Texas has delivered a final demand to the remaining 3 counties of Oklahoma. Join or die, basically. Alright, engineers in Virginia have completed a significant branch of the Appalachian Unity Rail, connecting Charleston directly to the major transit hubs in Northern Virginia. This infrastructure surge has already doubled the speed of coal and mineral transport to the coast. The success of this project is being used as a primary talking point in the Virginian campaign to convince Kentucky of the benefits of integration. And then Virginian influence expands into the bluegrass. As the turn concludes, Virginia has successfully fostered a strong pro-Virginian sentiment in eastern Kentucky. While the government in Frankfort remains independent, the trade ties and cultural overlap are creating an inevitable gravitation toward Richmond. Governor Chris has hinted that the next phase of the campaign will involve direct economic subsidies to Kentucky's industrial sectors. The strength of Virginia is not just in its arms, but in the prosperity it shares with its neighbors. Nice. So we're getting to Kentuckians.
All right, now that we have Delaware and Maryland, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to construct a new rail line that connects Wilmington, Dover, Baltimore, and DC to Richmond and Norfolk. So going to strengthen the travel between our territories. And then I'm going to continue the pro-campaign for Kentucky joining Virginia in Kentucky. And then finally, I'm going to change the government of Virginia. It's going to be the same. I'm just going to rename some things. So the General Assembly of Virginia is no longer going to be named that. It is going to be the Congress of Virginia, or the Virginia Congress. And the 2 houses are going to be the Senate and the Delegate Assembly. So that is what I am going to do.
This time we're going to go 1 week and we will see what happens. Okay, creation of the Virginian Congress and an historic restructuring of the state government. Governor Chris has officially renamed the state legislature to the Virginian Congress. This new bicameral body consists of the Senate and the Delegate Assembly. This shift marks a formal departure from the old state-level governance model toward a more robust, nationalized, sovereign framework for the Greater Commonwealth of Virginia. The first session focused on the legal framework for integrating newly annexed territories in the Mid-Atlantic. And then groundbreaking of the Coastal Interstate Rail Corridor. Richmond has announced the Coastal Interstate Rail Project, a massive infrastructure initiative designed to link the Commonwealth's major hubs. Construction has begun on the tracks connecting Wilmington to Dover, Baltimore, and DC, eventually terminating at the deep-water ports of Norfolk. This project is expected to utilize Bitcoin-funded labor and local materials, further insulating the Virginian economy from the global economic recession. And then Samoa has unified. Cool. Alright, Kentucky referendum momentum builds. The large Virginia campaign has seen a massive surge in popularity across Kentucky. Pro-integration rallies in Louisville and Lexington have highlighted the security benefits of joining the Greater Commonwealth of Virginia. Virginian diplomats have promised the bluegrass state that they will maintain autonomy similar to Delaware, preserving their local culture while gaining access to Virginia's global trade network. Governor Chris has signaled that a formal invitation is imminent. And then Florida and Alabama are fighting. Alright, Greater Commonwealth of Virginia proclaims order in the East. As the 3rd week of June closes, the Greater Commonwealth of Virginia has successfully stabilized its new borders. With the Virginian Congress in session and the Coastal Rail Project underway, Richmond has effectively consolidated the most advanced and economically resilient region of the former United States. Alright, and that week is done. Okay. Exciting stuff is happening. Alright, so let us talk to Kentucky and see if they would like to join. Hello. with the recent pro join, with the recent supporters of pro union, I guess, with the recent supporters of pro union growing in your state, we would like to make the offer of Kentucky joining Virginia once again. We would like to remind you that you will have special rights just as Delaware has. So will you join us? Join us to form a better Virginia. To form a better and bigger Virginia. So let's see. I've sent out the ask. Frankfurt has noted the shifting tides in our eastern counties, and we cannot ignore that the promise of the Bitcoin standard and the reach of the Appalachian Unity Rail are becoming very popular with our people. Given that you are prepared to guarantee us the same autonomous status and special rights granted to Delaware, we believe it is time to secure our future alongside a stable and proven hegemon. We accept your offer to join the Greater Commonwealth of Virginia, provided our local assembly remains the primary authority over our internal bluegrass affairs as we integrate into your broader economic and defense framework. There we go. Kentucky is going to join Virginia. We agree. May better, bigger, may Virginia prosper. May this may this union make Virginia prosper. There we go. We share your optimism and look forward to a long era of mutual stability. With our integration into the Commonwealth, the Bluegrass and the Appalachian mines are now secured under your digital standard and military shield. We shall notify our local assembly in Frankfurt to begin the formal transition immediately. So, for this one, instead of 1 month, we're going to jump to 3 months and we're going to see what happens. And there we go, the Bluegrass unification. Following the successful diplomatic mission from Richmond, Kentucky has officially signed the Frankfurt Accord, formally joining Virginia. This peaceful annexation brings the Bluegrass region and the Cumberland Plateau under the Virginian Bitcoin standard. The Commonwealth now stretches from the Atlantic shores to the banks of the Mississippi, creating a massive inland to ocean trade powerhouse that effectively secures the core of the mid-Atlantic and upper South. And this is what I have to say. The division of our families and our trade was an accident of history. Today we choose a future of shared strength and digital prosperity. Perfect. Look at that. So other than the top here, it technically still looks like Virginia. Okay. Metric Initiative. Virginia has officially begun a mandatory transition to the metric system. Wishman argues that this move is essential for streamlining trade with international partners. While some citizens in the newly annexed Appalachian region have expressed confusion, The government is rolling out new digital signage and Bitcoin integrated point-of-sale systems that automatically convert units, positioning Virginia as a modern global standard economy. Perfect. And then the Delaware Naval Expansion groundbreaking. Governor Chris has authorized the immediate construction of a massive naval facility and a large-scale industrial port in Delaware. These projects, located near Wilmington and Dover, are designed to alleviate the pressure on Norfolk and provide the Virginia First Fleet with a dominant northern staging ground. The construction is expected to provide thousands of jobs to former Maryland and Delaware residents, further integrating the population through infrastructure labor. Perfect. And what is happening here? Greater Idaho referendum tension. Support for the Greater Idaho movement has reached a fever pitch in eastern Oregon. Thousands of residents, frustrated by Salem's inability to manage the global recession, have begun demanding a vote to join Idaho. Oh my goodness. The movement has gained traction as Idaho's proximity to the resource-rich nuclear ICBM states offers a perceived shield of stability. Oregon has responded by deploying state police to monitor rallies, increasing fears of a civil crackdown. Oh boy. Alright, Wisconsin demands Upper Peninsula, asserting that the Upper Peninsula and Isle Royale are geographically and culturally tied to the Driftless area. Wisconsin has issued a formal demand to Michigan. Madison has begun fortifying its border near the Menominee River? Is that how you say it? Michigan, already embroiled in the Toledo Strip conflict with Ohio, has condemned the move as a stab in the back and has redirected units from its Panzer Corps to prevent a northern incursion. Oh no. So Wisconsin wants this top half, and Ohio wants this. Oh my goodness. That means Michigan's going to be on a war of two fronts. That is scary for them. Battle of Savannah. Oh. In a sudden escalation of expansionist fervor, South Carolina has launched an occupation of Savannah and Augusta. South Carolinian militias seized the key port facilities and river crossings before Georgia could effectively respond. Fierce urban fighting is currently reported in the historic districts of Savannah as Georgian forces attempt to repel the invaders. Both sides have suffered significant casualties in the opening salvos of this regional war. Well, looks like South Carolina and Georgia are at war. Oh gosh. Alright. And then the Four Corners Alliance formed, seeking to protect their water rights and maintain order in the wake of the Hoover Dam dispute. Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico have officially ratified the Four Corners Alliance. This pact establishes a unified security council and a resource-sharing agreement. The alliance serves as a significant neutral bloc aimed at deterring both Texas aggression and the thirsty demands of California. Oh, and there goes Oklahoma, and it looks like Texas is going to target New Mexico. Oh boy. Okay, Commonwealth Coastal Rail completes Baltimore Link. Engineers for Virginia have successfully completed high-speed rail link between Baltimore and Washington, D.C. This segment of the Coastal Interstate Rail Corridor is now operational, allowing for the rapid movement of goods and troops between the northern and southern Chesapeake. Governor Chris attended the ribbon-cutting ceremony in Baltimore, praising the workers for their commitment to a unified Virginian future.
Alright, so now that Kentucky has joined Virginia to create Big Virginia, I am going to construct a rail line that stretches from Richmond to Lexington and Frankfurt, so I can integrate Kentucky easily. And I realized now that I have Kentucky, I have access to the mighty Mississippi River, so I am going to go ahead and construct a port next to the river, and that will give me access to the trades that will go through.
I think that's all I want to do for now, so let's move 1 month. Let's see what happens in 1 month. Yeah? Here we go. Greater Commonwealth Rail Expansion Project. Governor Chris has officially broken ground on the Appalachian Bluegrass Rail Link. This ambitious infrastructure project aims to connect Richmond to Frankfort via Charlottesville and Lexington. By utilizing the recently adopted metric system and Bitcoin-backed state credits, Virginia seeks to physically bind the newly annexed Kentucky territories to the Tidewater economic core, ensuring rapid troop and resource movement across the mountains. And then the Jackson Purchase port construction begins. In a move to secure a dominant position on the Mississippi River, Virginia has begun constructing a major sovereign port in the Jackson Purchase. This facility is designed to act as the Commonwealth's western gateway, allowing for direct trade and military logistics to bypass the increasingly unstable central states. The port will serve as a critical node for the proposed defensive cooperation with Tennessee. Oh, and there's a hurricane. Hurricane Kyle ravages the Atlantic coast. The Category 4 Hurricane Kyle has made a devastating landfall after battering Cuba and the Bahamas. The storm surged through Florida before tracking north into Georgia and South Carolina. The lack of a unified federal response has left millions without power. While Virginia's reinforced ports in Norfolk held firm, the Carolinas face severe flooding and infrastructure collapse, further weakening Georgia following the loss of Savannah. Siege of St. Croix. Oh my goodness. Puerto Rico has successfully invaded and occupied St. Croix. The Virgin Island militia was overwhelmed. Oh my goodness. So I guess Puerto Rico expanded out. Oh, what is this? Independent Chicago movement escalates. Protests in Chicago and the collar counties have reached a boiling point, citing the economic success of Virginia. Activists are demanding a referendum to separate from Illinois. The movement argues that Springfield is siphoning Chicago's wealth and without providing security. Illinois has moved units to the city's outskirts, but the independent Chicago sentiment continues to gain traction among the local elites. Oh boy. And Texas ultimatum to New Mexico has refused, and New Mexico and Texas are at war. Texas General has said Texas does not ask for what is rightfully hers, she takes it. What a Texan response. Alright. Following the clarification regarding the Jackson Purchase, Tennessee and Virginia have formally signed the Cumberland Shield Pact. This agreement pledges mutual military assistance against the Republic of Texas. Joint border patrols have been established along the Mississippi, and Virginia has begun sharing electronic warfare data gathered from its high-tech hubs with Nashville's military command. Okay, so we are allied with Pennsylvania, Tennessee, and North Carolina. And then global trade diversion to Norfolk. As the global economic recession deepens, major shipping lines from Japan and Germany have officially diverted their East Coast routes exclusively to Norfolk and Virginia Beach. The stability of the Bitcoin standard has made Virginia the only reliable point of entry for high-value goods. This influx of capital has allowed Richmond to fully fund its Western rail and port projects despite the continental chaos. Nice. Oh, what is this? Virginia Guard recruitment, the shield of the East. A new wave of recruitment from the Virginia Guard has exceeded all expectations. Following the successful stabilization of Kentucky, thousands of new volunteers from Louisville and Baltimore have joined the ranks. Richmond has commissioned 3 new battalions to oversee the protection of the burgeoning rail corridors and the newly annexed Mississippi riverfront. And Governor Chris says the Commonwealth is no longer a state, it is the standard by which all order is measured. Love that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do some more logistical things. So this is what we are going to do. We are gonna fund maintenance for our existing highways and roads, and we'll also construct new roads so that Big Virginia is better connected. We are also going to construct new military bases in Kentucky, and then we are going to allow same-sex marriage, and we'll introduce a progressive wealth
tax as well, because the rich have to pay their fair share now. And then finally, we are going to move the capital of Virginia from Richmond to Charlottesville. That is going to be more centered in this new big Virginia. So that is what we are gonna do.
Okay, so for this one, instead of jumping 1 week, 1 month, we're gonna go ahead and jump the big 3 months. So let us see what happens. Alright, Virginia moves capital to Charlottesville. In a surprise administrative shift, Governor Chris has officially moved the seat of power from Richmond to Charlottesville, proclaiming the city as the intellectual heart of the Commonwealth. The move is intended to distance the government from the coastal vulnerabilities of the Tidewater and place it in a more defensible position near the Blue Ridge Mountains. Richmond remains the primary economic and naval hub, while Charlottesville's infrastructure is rapidly being upgraded to house the Virginian Congress. The Virginian Congress has passed 2 landmark pieces of legislation. The first, a progressive wealth tax, targets the high net worth individuals who fled the Commonwealth for stability, utilizing the revenue to fund Virginia highway maintenance. Simultaneously, Virginia has officially legalized same-sex marriage, a move aimed at positioning Virginia as a modern, socially progressive alternative to the militaristic Republic of Texas. Our strength lies in our roads, our resources, and the rights of every citizen under the Virginian seal. Yes, it does. And oh my goodness. There it is. Greater Idaho referendum succeeds in a historic vote. The residents of Eastern Oregon have voted overwhelmingly to secede and join Idaho. The movement, fueled by economic neglect from Salem and the perceived stability of the nuclear ICBM states, has resulted in the immediate integration of the territory. Oregon's government, weakened by the recession, has been unable to prevent the border shift. Idaho has expanded. Wow. And Kentucky defends Fortress Bluegrass. Virginia has completed the construction of several major military bases and forts across Kentucky. These fortifications, located near the Ohio and Mississippi rivers, serve as a hard deterrent against any northern or western incursions. The 3rd Virginia Infantry has been permanently stationed at the new Fort Bluegrass to coordinate with the Cumberland Shield Pack partners. Okay, expanding our military infrastructure. And there it is. Texas invades Mexico. Yikes. That is crazy. Four Corners Alliance has mobilized, but the sheer weight of Texan firepower has forced a fighting retreat toward the Rocky Mountains. Oh yeah, New Mexico is part of the Four Corners Alliance. I guess that's not holding up too well, unfortunately. Wow. Independent Chicago proclaimed the Free City of Chicago. Illinois has lost Chicago following a successful referendum. Chicago and the Collar counties has officially seceded from Illinois. The new, city-state has immediately reached out to Virginia for a trade treaty, citing the Commonwealth's Bitcoin standard as the preferred model for the city's global financial markets. Okay. The nuclear question silo standoff, what? The states of North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming, and Montana have officially seized Minuteman ICBM silos on their soil. The U.S. military remnants at the Pentagon are occupied by Virginia, and overseas have refused to provide launch codes, leading to a high-stake diplomatic standoff. Russia and China are monitoring the situation with extreme caution. Okay, so I guess these states had U.S. remnants that were housing ICBMs. And I guess those states took those ICBM silos over. Scary stuff. Virginian hegemony consolidated. As the winter grips the continent, Virginia remains the most stable power, with a new capital in Charlottesville, a reinforced border in Kentucky, and a progressive tax system funding the best maintained roads in the former U.S. Governor Chris has positioned the state as the true successor to American leadership. Where the old Union froze, the Commonwealth thrives in the digital heat of the new era. Yes, it does.
All right, so I think I'm gonna stop here. After editing, it's been about an hour and 23 minutes, and if you've sticked this long, thank you. So look at this. We have Big Virginia dominating the other states, but of course Texas is waiting in the right wings to expand. Florida is trying to expand as well. Chicago is a free state now, and so many other things are happening. But for right now, like I said, I'm just going to leave things here. I think we're at a good stopping point. If you want me to continue, let me know in the comments below, and let me know your thoughts about Big Virginia. So with that, I'm going to leave things here. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, hit that like button, subscribe for more awesome content, and I'll see you in the next video. The ChrisofGames out, and have a happy 250th American anniversary.